Good morning. How are you? It's a beautiful Sunday here in Virginia. Early in the day, you get hints of the fall weather coming. I think we're at a stage where it's important we confront the division in the nation so we understand what we're up against. Because those that we would think are the ignoble members of our society always exist there even when they're silent, and they're no longer silent. If there's one thing that Trump did as a catalyst for bad government and corruption, it is that he took the silent lies and the winks and he made them public. And he gave license to people to be the worst that they could be rather than the best that they could be. And politicians continue, who are critical of this ignoble pack, they continue to suggest there's a rational discourse that can occur. And I don't believe that that's possible. And I believe that every day we see examples of it. And we're being invited by good men and women, almost entirely Democrats, to believe that there's hope in this dialogue. And I think that that's a mistake. I think the only hope we have in the dialogue is to grow the numbers who believe in a different kind of government, that is a democratic government, and to bring to our side independents, current Republicans who see what we see, could be a song, and thereby swell the numbers that allow us to have a democratic government and to move forward rather than to be paralyzed. So what would be the division? For example, it's the difference between truth and lies. That is, the best of our number try to say accurately where we stand. And there's some puffery and there's some misleading statements even made by our best friends. But it's nothing like, people who think you get magnetic if you have the vaccine, or that you should be taking dewormer for animals, or that elections involve fraud when they didn't, okay? Another division is, and this is the hardest for us to cope with because most of us are the rational animals, Homo sapiens, that we are driven by wisdom. We have ideals that are connected to that rationality. But we see that our opposition is kind of a Jonestown group in which they drink the Kool-Aid, if you will, from Fox or from the various leaders, including the Orange Menace, who's no longer in the West Wing, and from Steve Bannon and these people. So there's that. We have those of us who are empathetic with the rest of humanity, even those we disagree with. But we're opposed to those who are brutal, who have no use for these human considerations, for these affectionate beings. They talk about being Christian, but the first fatality of their politics is the death of the Sermon on the Mount. And I say this as a guy who's not religious, but if you're going to tell me that you're a Christian and you don't embrace the Sermon on the Mount, then you're a faux Christian. You're a political manipulator. You're not really religious. There's also the difference between the selfless and the selfish. We are the selfless in the sense that we do care about others. We are part of the firmament. We do care to help each other. And then we do. We see it. You see it on Twitter. You see it on Facebook. You see it in personal relationships. You hear people concerned. The selfish, and I'm not criticizing the manufacturers, but think about it. For a long time, it's been the iPad, the iPhone, the iPod. It's about us. Now, the best of us just use these tools and don't think of it that way. But the selling point was, this is mine, this is about me, this is who I am, this is what I do, and don't you tell me I can't do it. I have a freedom to do the most irrational and punitive things to everyone else around me. That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Schopenhauer had this theory that we were each tied to each other in such a way emotionally that if a stranger were in danger and you had to risk yourself to help them, if you made that human connection You would feel you couldn't live another moment the rest of your life if you didn't reach out without paying any attention to risking your life to help another. This is an alien concept to the Republicans. It's bottom line. It's all bottom line. It's all math. It's about power, and it's about money, and yeah, it's about sex and favors and things like that. But those are the secondary benefits of a corrupt regime of the Republicans. So, what is our notion of how we should go forward? Even as we suffer the dread of this going on in a day-by-day drumbeat, like it's bringing us back to the pain that we felt in the last administration that was rightly thrown out of office. And the answer is, we have to point these things out to our friends and neighbors. Yeah, one by one. We have to contribute to politicians who say it as it is. And right now it's the progressives in the House, and it's many of the senators as well in the Democratic caucus. And we have to point out that the enemy of the people within our caucus is S&M, Sinema, and Manchin. And we have to point out in the Republican caucus, there were those Republicans who voted to ignore the electors' vote, the pro forma ritual that took place on January the 6th, and to throw the election into chaos, emotion. I want this outcome. I don't care how it happens. And finally, the thing that I hope to put together a little statement about is what I call Plan B. Think about it. The insurrection, the violent insurrection, the breaking into the Capitol, that was not something that was the first plan. The insurrection in which they violently took over the Capitol was Plan B. Plan A was that the Vice President would hurl the United States into chaos by misreading the Constitution, particularly the 12th Amendment, and deciding himself to deny certain electors and to deny to Biden the presidential election that he won fairly and squarely. Now keep in mind when we talk about this that the margins in America are slim. Dan Balz today says there were 8 states that were divided between Trump and Biden by 44,000 votes, and that 6 of those states could have changed the election. So we are on a knife's edge. We're on a knife's edge in the House, 3 extra votes in the Senate. We need the entire caucus. And so we are in a struggle. We have a foothold, but we need to do more, and we need to talk about it frankly. So that's my thoughts. And I am gathered together here in my cathedral of trees. And if you can, get out and smell the air of freedom and possibility for the future. All the best. Bye-bye.